Hi, the last video that we watched was on observations. And as review, remember that observations, we use our five senses, that we can use scientific tools to help us be more accurate and precise. And there's two types of observations. There's qualitative, that describes a characteristic or a property, and there's quantitative, that involves numbers. So an inference, what is an inference? An inference is a statement that you make based on something you know. So when we go outside and it's cloudy and the clouds look heavy and they're dark, they've got some gray in them, we might make an inference that it's going to rain. And what do we base that on? We base that on our previous experiences, that usually when it's going to rain or when it's raining, there are those types of clouds in the sky. So we base inferences on our experiences, observations we make, and the knowledge that we already have in our noggin. So it's kind of like an educated guess, and our inferences can lead us to our hypothesis in which we can test. So you have this picture here of this puppy, and the puppy has the thought bubble that says, "My human is wearing shoes and carrying a leash." Well, we can make an inference based on that image. So here's a question. Is the dog and the owner going to bed? Well, I don't see any covers. I don't see any pillows. I don't see any PJs. So, that could be possible. The dog is going to take a bath. Again, I don't see any water, no soap, no drying towels. So, it's possible. The dog and the owner are going for a walk. That's probably pretty plausible. I know that my dogs know when we get ready to go somewhere and they want to go. They wag their little tails and they want to go. So they are like, "Hey!" And then the last one says the dog has fleas. I don't see the dog scratching anything. I don't see any fleas if I look really close. So that's probably not a good choice. And so the choice of the dog and its owner are going for a walk is probably a pretty solid inference based on the image. There are two types of inferences, and you don't have to be able to tell the difference between the two. This is just for your information so that you'll know. You will, however, have to be able to tell an observation from an inference. So there's two types. There's inductive and deductive. Inductive inferences start with an observation, and they expand to make a statement or make a conclusion. So you're going to have some examples, and I think in your guided notes it has you put an I and an O next to the statements that are inferences and observations. I just checked. That's not your guided notes. It's in your Go Formative. So the Go Formative will give you a scenario or a picture and then give you some statements, and you're going to put an I if it's an inference and O if it's an observation. Remember that as you go along, you're filling out your paper, and then you can either do the Go Formative as you go, or you can do it at the end. But just make sure you're doing both your guide notes, which you can keep in your notebook, and have a paper copy of what we're going over, and the Go Formative. So an example of some inductive reasoning, some inductive inferences. I see fireflies in my backyard every summer. Pretty true. They usually come out June, July, August. And so an inference I can make is that this summer I'll probably see some fireflies in my backyard. Or if I had no clue what time of the year it was and I saw a firefly, I might say, "Oh, it's summer." So the observations is the first statement, and the inference would be the second statement. Most dogs are usually friendly. This is a Yorkie, if you didn't know. I have 3 Yorkies at home. And then the statement is made, every dog I meet is friendly. So most dogs are usually friendly. That's an observation that you make, that most dogs you go up to and pet. They're not going to growl at you or bite you. And so then you can... Oh, sorry, I had it backwards. Most dogs are usually friendly. That's the inference. Every dog I meet is friendly. So that's an observation that you made, that every dog you go up to and try to pet, they don't try to bite you or gnaw you or any of those good things. So sorry, I got those mixed up. Deductive inferences are opposite. and they go from a generalized principle to being more specific. These can be kind of tricky sometimes. Same thing in the Go formative, it's going to give you some statements or some pictures and ask you to put an I for inference and O for observation. So if we look at this one, I exist. Yeah, I exist. Rocks are humans. Rocks exist. Rocks exist. I am human. Yeah. So what do you think? Which ones are observations and which ones are the inferences? There can all be one thing, or you can mix it up. So if you got this for your answer, ding, 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 you win the prize. You are correct. Here's another one. Socrates. Socrates was a great philosopher back when science was growing and budding as a way of knowing things. Socrates is mortal. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. That one was kind of tricky because Socrates is dead, but we know he was a man. Here's a comic to help you understand the difference between observations and inferences. So read through that and hope you get a good giggle. And here's some practice. And a lot of people say, well, the first two are the observations, and the last one has to be the inference. No, teachers are good at mixing things up. So you have a picture, and you have three statements. You have, it is nighttime. The ghost's name is, it's cut off. The ghost's name is Pigpen, and it is Halloween. So what'd you get? What'd you get? They were all inferences. So it is nighttime. You base that on the circle in the sky, thinking that it's the moon, but it could be the sun. The ghost name is Pigpen. Well, if you recognize these as the Peanut characters, Snoopy and Charlie Brown, then you made an inference that Pigpen was the ghost. And then it is Halloween. Based on what you know about kids standing at a door dressed up in costumes, that happens at Halloween. But it could be a spoof. It could be in the middle of December and kids could just be running around having fun. Here's some more practice. This is in the end of your guided notes. And so see how you do. And good luck.